Hi, have you been in real estate for a little while, but you're struggling to get enough deals done to make a decent living? Stay tuned because in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to teach you how you can afford to leverage your business and get more deals done. For those who don't know me, I'm David Saba, founder and CEO of Empowering Agents to Prosper. I've helped countless agents reach $100,000 and more to establish themselves firmly in the real estate market. Remember, in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to leverage your business. And if you drop the word prosper in the comments below this video, I will send you my free ebook with more details on how this works. As you probably know, once you get a home under contract, you have a huge list of 30 to 40 things you have to do in the next 30 to 45 days to get that closed. First, you have to write the contract, you have to negotiate the contract, go back and forth with amendments and so forth. Once you have a signed contract, of course, you've got to get a home inspection. Then it starts all over again, negotiating the amendments. And once your seller agrees to make some fixes to the house, you become involved in negotiating with contractors, following up, and getting the work done. Especially if your buyer or seller is out of town, it's up to you to go do these inspections and make sure the work is done before it's paid for. Then you have to negotiate with the bank, get the clear to close, get with the attorney. They're going to want a lot of information from you, and you have to be in contact with the HOA. There's 30 or 40 things that have to be done, and there's probably 50 to 100 hours of work involved. So what happens? You finally get it closed, and you get a check, and you realize that check's not going to last you till your next deal because you haven't had time to even talk to anybody else about buying a home, because so many of these contracts get mired in a swamp of stuff to do that just eats up all of your time. But we have a solution. The solution is hire that assistant that you don't think you can afford. Let me tell you something. As I found out the hard way 20 years ago when I entered the real estate business, you can't afford an assistant until you have one. And then you start making real money. Let's take a look. Another thing to keep in mind with an assistant is now you have somebody you're responsible for. That changes your mindset. You've got to pay this person every week. And so you're more likely to get up in the morning, call your leads, set up advertising, do those open houses, and do all the things you need to do to make your business successful. It's a lot easier to run a business when you have some help and you have somebody to keep you going and you feed off of each other to get things done. Let's look at the cost of a real estate assistant. If you get a very good assistant and you hire them for 40 hours a week, you're going to pay them 15 to 25 dollars an hour, depending on how good and how experienced they are. The more experienced one is going to take more off your plate. The newer one, you're going to have to do more training, so you might not get as much help on the first few deals. I recommend going with the $15 an hour and paying a bonus for each deal closed. I pay my assistant a $100 bonus on each deal. That doesn't sound like much, but when you start getting a lot of deals going, that's going to be a lot of extra money for that person. Let's take a look at it. You fill this out with numbers in your market and your average sale price. I'm going to go conservative here just to make the point. And let's say because of that assistant, I make one more sale. for $300,000. And that'd be one more per month, which should be pretty easy to do. The commission, let's say you average 3% on commission. I know in my market you get a little bit more typically on a listing, a little bit less on a sale, but it all averages out around 3%. So what's your gross commission income? 3% of $300,000. So you've got $9,000 coming in. Your broker split, depends on your broker. My broker split until I cap is 30%. So I'm going to put the worst case scenario of I haven't capped yet. So 30% of 9,000, my broker is going to get $2,700 and I'm going to get $6,300. Okay, out of that $6,300, if I'm paying even $25 an hour and I go with the full 40 hours, which I didn't do at first, I went with 20 hours, which you can do as well. So let's say 25 times 40 hours, that's going to be $4,000 a month. Take that from the $6,300 and you made a $2,300 extra on one extra sale. Once you get this rolling, you're going to get 2 or 3 extra sales a month, and you're not going to pay your assistant anymore except maybe a little bit of bonus for the extra sales. I give my assistant an extra $100 for each sale that we close. If you do 2 sales, you're not going to get 2,300 times 2. You're going to get 6,300 plus 2,300. You're going to get $8,600 more. Or three extra sales a month. That's 12,600 and 2,300 is $14,900 a month. And you've got $4,000 going out. I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience and the benefit of the experience of almost everybody I know. Do not get a virtual assistant. They don't do near as much as your assistant. I've tried paying people $300 per transaction to close it. They don't do 15% of what my captive assistant does. Virtual assistants overseas, there's some in the Philippines and so forth, they basically don't do much but call your leads. And with the assistant I had, I paid the person that hired that assistant an extra $1,000 a month to them just to manage the virtual assistant. And every single appointment that my virtual assistant said he made, when I called the lead, they said, no, I didn't make an appointment with anybody. I didn't get a single appointment in 6 months that was legitimate. So again, if you put Prosper in the comments below, I'll send you my ebook. There's a lot more detail to leverage